All right, I'll try to take another stab at your question about Stafford. Is he better now after the first 3 games than what he was? Is he back to, you're saying, is he back to the form what he had before last year?
My hypothesis going into this year was that Stafford was going to revert to his 2017 self. The 2018 was a bad year for him for a variety of reasons. I think a coordinator who was on his way out, running game disappeared after Kerryon got hurt, Golden Tate got traded, and he had no tight ends. And if you look at him historically, when he and the Lions have been at their best, the tight ends have been a big part of their offense. And I thought he would revert to 2017 Stafford. So my question essentially is, through 3 games, doesn't Stafford look to be more of the 2017 guy than the 2018 guy? Because I'm not going to sit here and try and defend that. I mean, at 2018, he was bad. Some people decided that's it, he's done. And I was kind of in that, I'm not going to go there yet. I think he could be better, and I think he will be better this year. But anyway.
It's close. Here's why it's difficult for a bunch of reasons. The first reason is because it's a small sample size. I'm not going to use 3 games and compare that to the entire season of either 2017 or 2018 because I don't think that's fair. If I compare it to the first 3 games of each of the last 2 seasons with this season, it's comparable to both. Because last year, he had the awful game against the Jets, a god-awful game against the Jets, where he threw 4 interceptions. He then bounced back and had a couple of pretty good football games, including the game against the Patriots, where he was actually quite good. 2 years ago, the Lions were 2-1 to start the season. They had wins over Arizona and at the Giants, and then they lost at home to Atlanta. And he was nothing special against Atlanta, but he didn't throw any interceptions. He had 7 touchdowns to 1 interception in the first 3 weeks of the season last year, in 2017, I should say. So that's still pretty good football. He's not there yet.
Well, I think he's closer to 2017 than he is 2018. But,
but 2018 again.
I know, but it counts. The one game counts. Additionally, at the beginning of 2018, he had a healthy carry-on and a healthy set of wide receivers, including Golden Tate.
Yeah, here's what's strange about last season. All right, it's a Jekyll and Hyde season. The first part of the year, that first game was awful against the Jets, where he threw 4 picks. After that, he bounced back to have, I believe it's 5 straight games where his quarterback rating was over 100, including a game where it was 138. That was a game against the Dolphins, and Kerryon Johnson ran wild. After that, they lost to Seattle in the game where I had said I'm done with him because he had the interception in the fourth quarter and the fumble in the fourth quarter in a game where they needed him to put the team on his shoulders and let's go, and it didn't happen. Despite that, he still had a decent rating of 96.9. But that began a string of, I believe, 7 straight and 8 out of the next 9 games where his quarterback rating was less than 100. In fact, he only had 1 game where it was above 83, and that was that game against the Seahawks. Well, he had a 100 rating against Buffalo, but
and you realize what that completely coincided with, right?
No, I took
Golden Tate was traded.
Yes, and I don't know how many times I got to say yes. I understand. Last year, I think there were a bunch of circumstances that went against him, and by the end of the season, he was shell shocked and didn't know what he was doing. But the first 3 games, he had all those components. So I don't know. This is why he's not my guy, is because there's nothing definitive to say that, yep, he's the guy. Look at me. He took over games. He was dominant. He was this. He was that. He wasn't. He's been a mishmash.
Well, I still believe if the organization had acted like a competent organization this entire decade of Stafford and they still weren't winning, I think it'd be more on him. But they've been a gong show, and hopefully this group that's running them, it's not a gong show. Let's get to your phone calls. Mike in St. Clair Shores. Hi, Mike.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
What's up?
Hey, man, I'm a passionate fan. I do believe that Matthew Stafford is better equipped, more like 217 than 218.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that because what you stated about not having what he needed. Last year, you're right, he threw 4 picks in the first game. After that, he only threw 7 picks the rest of the year. That's pretty good. You know what I mean? But the numbers weren't there. He didn't have the supporting cast. And this year, I see more of a supporting cast. I do see, like I was saying, that he started out with a brand new offense right now. In 3 games in, I think that offense is working they're not on all cylinders yet, but I think it's going to work well. I think it's going to work well for
At what
them.
point do you expect it to work well instead of saying it's going
Well,
to?
I think it needed that 3 games because nobody plays in preseason anymore.
So fine. So
I mean,
so-
it really-
okay. So Sunday you expect them to be the offense to be going really well.
yes, but I don't expect Stafford to be a 400-yard guy anymore either in that offense.
He doesn't have to be. He's
Exactly. I agree. It doesn't have to be. I think the offense will work well for him now. I think 300-yard Stafford, not making mistakes Stafford, is how we're going to win the game.
You realize 300-yard Stafford is almost 5,000 yards a season.
And every time somebody says, oh, this quarterback's great because, look, they threw for 4,000 yards, Stafford's been doing that how many years?
Yeah, and he's not. Well, I don't think anybody says that anymore. This isn't the
say that
era
about-
of
no,
Dan
you're
Fouts
right.
where he's
They
the
don't
one
say
guy
that.
to do it, or there's a couple guys.
They say that about up-and-coming coaches.
They say what about up-and-coming coaches?
I'm sorry, not coaches, other up-and-coming quarterbacks. Oh, look, he almost threw for 4,000 yards.
I guess.
I mean, that's the benchmark around the NFL, right?
What
I don't say it's a
concerns me,
benchmark. I think there are other stats you look at ahead of that.
I guess I feel like we're also kind of getting a little bit sidetracked in terms of what's really important. What's really important to me is how effective is this offense going to be, the marriage of this personnel and this coordinator. That's what's really important. I don't care how they win the Super Bowl, whether Stafford has anything to do with it or not. Just win the damn Super Bowl. I don't care how you make the playoffs, whether Stafford has anything to do with it or not. Just make the playoffs. And I don't care how much money he makes. I know for the kind of money they're paying, it's not my money. And have they built a team that can win? The offensive line doesn't seem to be run blocking. The run game doesn't seem to be going at all. The receiving group, I think, looks pretty good under Bevel, and there has been some creativity mixed in with Bevel. And I don't think that's the key to being a good offensive coordinator. I think where you really measure on offensive coordinators, are you moving the ball and are you getting into the end zone?
This is going to sound like a cop-out, but the philosophy can win a Super Bowl, Doug. It can win playoff games and get there. The question is, like I said, it's going to sound like a cop-out. They got to execute. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I don't think fans have a huge problem with what Patricia, Quinn, and Bevel are trying to do, right? Defensively, offensively, run the ball, game control, all that stuff. I don't think anyone has an issue with that. Good defensive line. The secondary's coming together this year. I'm really impressed with the secondary. I can't say that enough early on. But execution is the key, right?
Yep.
They haven't been able to run the ball like they wanted to, right? The defensive line hasn't stepped up like we thought they have. Been a real big strength.
Those have been the 2 biggest disappointments so far.
Yet they're still undefeated, 2-0-1.
Yep.
This week is a big game.
Huge.
If they can execute the philosophy that the management and Quinn have put together, they can not only keep it close, they can win. And that's the point, right? Mm-hmm. So is Stafford the guy to execute this game plan? Maybe that's the question some fans have, right?
Yeah.
Can he do it? Offensively, at least.
If you take a look at... Do you like Bevel's work so far, guys?
I liked last week's game plan. I didn't have a problem with it. I know people are going to say that they were a bit conservative at the end and ran too much, but I think when you run the clock and you're counting on your team to be able to run the ball, you've got to be able to salt away games like that, right?
Yeah, and
I think he throws it when he needs to.
I can pick stuff out of Bevel's game plan every week that I loved. I absolutely loved the use of T.J. Hawkinson in the opener, and I loved the play that wasn't. The McKissick pass. The counter pass where he came in motion underneath Stafford, and then he hit him in the flat for the winning touchdown. The seal the deal touchdown.
As great of a play call that was. That was great.
The timeout ruined it.
But they followed that up, though.
I loved...
with streaks.
Yeah, I know, the 4 verts. I loved the third down pass to seal the deal against the LA Chargers. And I loved the sudden change reverse to McKissick, who seems to be the pet project of Darrell Bevel, that went for 41 yards down inside the 5. There's been a lot that I've really loved about Darrell Bevel. Now, points per game, where do you think they rank in points per game?
Well, they scored, 27 in the first game?
And it was helped along by a special teams touchdown.
Yeah.
And then early in the year, that makes a big difference. But every team gets some help here and there, right? A defensive touchdown. So it all kind of ends up in the wash. I could try and find the stats where you discount all the defensive and...
Well, they scored, 27 against the Cardinals?
Yes.
27 against the Eagles?
Yes.
And 13 against the Chargers.
Yes.
So that's not scoring a whole lot.
They are 15th in the league in scoring right now.
Right in the middle.
22.3. They are 12th in yards per game. 248-539-9797. We've got sidetracked here. We'll get to the Michigan stuff coming up. But Ryan is on a cell. Hi, Ryan.
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
Hey, Ryan.
All right, so I'm pretty excited for the game this weekend, but I think part of the reason why we aren't 3-0 is because, like that comparison you guys were doing with Stafford, I think he's looking more like last year's Matt Stafford than 2017. I feel like if he was looking like 2017, we would be winning these games as opposed to hoping the other team, does something Lion-esque so we walk away with a win instead.
They haven't lost yet. Have they looked great? No. Has Stafford looked great? No, I don't think he's looked great. I think he looks absolutely more comfortable in this offense than he did last
Here's
year.
where I think Stafford looks a lot better this year than what I've seen in the past in his entire career. I think his mobility has improved by leaps and bounds. He has found a way to move around that pocket, get outside the pocket, move away from the pass rush, and buy himself some more time, and he looks really good at it. And that is where I think his biggest improvement has been made.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a big Matt Stafford guy. When everyone was calling for his head last year, I completely disagree with it. I think that we're lucky to have him here. But some of those takes against the Chargers, guys, he's just kind of throwing up jump balls in possessions that, we need points. We need to score. And that's just kind of what I'm reverting to. I'm not giving up on the season or anything like that. I think that they have the potential, to turn this to the next gear, to get to the next level, to compete. But at this stage, even with, everything going right, I still feel as though the Chiefs are going to have to beat themselves for us to pull out a W. And I know as a Lions fan, that's hard to really say, but it's true. I feel like the Chiefs are going to have to somehow beat themselves in order for the Lions to win this week, which could happen. But
well, the Lions, part of that is the Lions have to do that to them. I mean, you have to make your opponent sometimes look bad.
Let me say this about Stafford. I think Stafford can be a lot better than what we've seen. I think there is something to the injury that he suffered last year, how they handled this training camp, the lack of time that he had working in training camp. I think that plays a role into maybe a slower start than what we'd like, and it does take some time before you feel really comfortable in new offense. I'll use all that stuff. But I think we're going to have to expect to see more from him. I'm not ready to say he's good. I just think you got to give him a little bit of time, and that time is running out because then it becomes an excuse. But I think 4 or 5 games after this game against the Chiefs, this is a tough one.
Well,
it's not the Chiefs' defense that scares people. It's the Chiefs' offense that scares people. So should he have a good game offensively? Should the Lions do well offensively against the Chiefs? They should have a pretty good opportunity to.
There is a one trend with this team that is really, really disturbing, given their what appeared to be commitment to make it better. We'll get to that today at 10:50. More open line calls. It's Karsch and Anderson here on 97.1. Hey, the leaves are starting to turn. Football games in full swing, which leads to the annual fall sales event at Jack Demmer Ford in Wayne. Now, we've been talking about Jack Demmer for a while now, and why we go to Jack Demmer. I've been to Jack Demmer, knew exactly what we wanted. Could we make it work within our price range? And the answer was yes, and they made it as simple as possible. Buying a car can be a complicated process. Those of you who've done it recently realize that. The fall sales event going on right now at Jack Demmer Ford. Check out these hot offers they got going on. Jack Demmer has the best lease deals of the year on the amazing 2019 Ford Fusion. AZ Plan customers can get a low-mileage lease on the Fusion 2019 for only $149 a month for 24 months with $159 due at signing. Zero security deposit. The offer ends September 30th. Stop in today and check out the all-new 2020 Ford Escape. And see our friend, General Sales Manager Bob Faust, and experience the Demmer difference and see why Jack Demmer truly is Western Wayne County's Ford dealer. Jack Demmer Ford, Michigan Avenue, across from Ford's Michigan Assembly Plant in Wayne, just 15 minutes from everywhere.